So there I was, lying in bed the other night, doom scrolling through YouTube, as one does, and I came across a video called Why Are Beach Holes So Deadly? By a channel called Practical Engineering. Nice. It immediately caught my eye because it took me back to a time about a year ago when Alette and I went on a nice beach holiday.
Yeah.
So naturally, I dug holes in this.
Of course.
There was relatability and I clicked.
Gotcha.
And they really broke down the science behind sand heaps, like how the moisture affects how well the sand clumps together and how the tides secretly change these variables. And then you can get a sudden collapse.
Yeah.
And apart from ruining a few childhood memories of my father and I digging some holes, I was actually really interested. Yeah. And it got me thinking that there's engineering concepts out there that are so small, but if you don't pay attention to them, it could lead to catastrophic events.
Yeah, okay, got you.
So that brings us to our topic this evening called fretting corrosion.
Got you.
It's another example of something you don't notice until it's way too late. It's caused by tiny invisible movement between parts that are supposed to be clamped together, slowly wearing them down over time. You can kind of think of it like microscopic chafing, except on a microscopic level.
Okay, got you. So not ball chafing. This is much smaller.
Much smaller.
My balls are quite small. So.
Yeah. So thank you for joining us on the High Level Podcast. And as always, I am joined by my attractive, blue-eyed co-host, Mr. Jonathan Delport. How are you?
Oh, you're doing well, man. We got a 32K next week. You feeling ready?
No.
We were discussing it this morning. This is probably the least prepared we've ever been for a race, but we're doing it.
I'm praying that I have like all my previous experience, which isn't a lot, by the way.
Yeah, we're hoping for the compounding effect.
Exactly.
Got you. But yes, on to fretting corrosion, Mr. Unsalar. This is your episode. I'm here to be taught. I'm here to learn. So give us the lowdown. Fretting corrosion, what's the story?
All right. So with any sort of engineering concept, it's always good to look at the definition first. So fretting is the gradual wear by means of rubbing or gnawing action between two surfaces. Now, fretting corrosion is a combined action of fretting as well as corrosion, which involves corrosion at points where two metal surfaces make contact by means of rubbing.
Got you. Okay.
So it's really important to grasp that it's when you have two things that are supposed to be tightly packed together and you get a little bit of movement, and that causes a little bit of wear.
Okay.
And then so if there's a protective layer on the surface, it rubs it away, and now things can start corroding from that point.
Got you.
So first of all, why does it occur? It occurs due to micro movements under load. So fretting wear arises when two contacting surfaces experience small oscillatory movement or slip under load, and these movements can be as minute as 0.25 microns.
Gee whiz.
So we're really talking like
very small
kind of movement.
Okay, got you.
And it has to do with material adhesion and oxidation. So when you have two surfaces together and you press them together, you get something called cold welding, but like on a microscopic level. And that causes particles to kind of get traded between the two surfaces. And then when you get these small vibrations, these sort of links break off and they become adhesions, like particles that are between the two, and then they basically add to the problem.
Got you.
Okay, so where does it occur? It basically occurs anywhere where you have a rigid thing, any fixed joints like bolts or keyways or press-fitted parts, like rotational interfaces. So when you're putting, like on bearings, the outer raceway normally is supposed to sit quite tight inside the little section there. But if that is a little bit of movement, if there's a load and some vibration, you'll get a little bit of corrosion there. And that's what we're talking about.
Okay. So this is super interesting because obviously back to university days, right? Science of materials.
Yeah.
We learned very important lessons that usually the root of the material isn't the thing that's on the outside of a final piece of material, right? There's usually some sort of surface treatment that goes on a lot of the time to protect from corrosion, right? And so at the heart of it, is this an assembly problem? Is it a design problem? Is it people not thinking about how to put things together effectively? What's the view?
It's actually a bit of both.
Okay.
So it can stem from bad designs, or maybe not bad designs, or like where you're not really thinking about this thing.
The specific thing.
The specific thing. It also comes from there's a. So I already stated that it's where you find it,
okay.
but
Let's maybe look at some examples.
Yeah.
Like where's the most common place you would find something like this?
You'd find it on bolt holes. You'd find it on hollow bore shafts, that kind of thing.
Very
so yeah,
general
we'll throw up a picture of what it kind of looks like. You'll see I've got a picture there of a shaft that was supposed to be a tight fit, and it sits there. So before we get on like how to mitigate fretting wear, I kind of just want to get into like a big misconception that people have.
Okay.
And there's a thing that says tight equals safe. So
That makes sense to me.
When you have to put a bolt down and you try to tighten it,
I'm mudding that thing tight.
that is, but there's an invisible danger there that people are not aware of. So the intuitive belief, and like so many people assume that tightening a part ensures that it's immovable and that prevents wear or failure.
Makes fair sense to me.
And it's a common engineering practice, tighter fits, bolted joints and standard solutions, and it really to avoid things loosening and vibrating off.
Especially if you're old school. The old school guys love to over tighten things, right?
But there's an invisible danger. So the first, there's 4 that I could find, and I'm sure there's more.
Yeah.
And we could elaborate on these. So the first one is microscopic motion still occurs.
Yeah.
So even if you put a bolt on there and you have it lacquer tight, you're still going to get microscopic motion. So even the tightest of clamped joints can have a minute oscillations, and this is where you're going to start seeing your fretting corrosion, especially where you get cyclical loading.
Yeah. Like a vehicle or something. Very common.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Tightening, like over tightening, also creates one of the conditions where fretting corrosion occurs. Because remember I said that when you tightly press things together, you get cold welding.
Yeah.
And then those vibrations break them apart, and that's what causes the corrosion. So actually over tightening can lead to creating the conditions where it occurs.
The
Does it make
thing
sense?
you're trying to prevent, you actually make happen by
Exactly.
over-tightening. Okay, got you.
And also at those points, you get stress concentrations.
Makes
Because
sense.
now you're pressing the material where it shouldn't be pressed. You're getting now fatigue loading on this thing, and you're basically just concentrating the stress where you've over tightened.
Got you.
And it gives you a false sense of security because over tightening, it may delay visible failure. So the problem's still occurring, but because you've over tightened it, you might not be able to see it as quickly, and therefore it happens.
Like you'll only see it when you disassemble the joint, and then by then it's too late, type of thing.
Exactly.
Okay, got you.
So yeah, I mean, when I was researching this, I was honestly thinking to myself, like, all right, is this going to be an interesting thing to talk about?
Yeah.
You know, and the answer is I think it is, because it's really it goes against, you know, your intuitive belief. Like if I make this thing tight,
Yeah.
doesn't matter how much it vibrates, it's gonna be okay.
This thing's gonna be tight.
It's gonna survive Chernobyl.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of
there
thing.
we go. Yeah.
But actually, like without knowing about it, and this is you won't be able to address it or even think about it. And it's also a thing where engineers, they take it very seriously, but only in industries where it's actually a real problem.
Yeah.
100%. So it's not something that even like the common engineer knows. A lot of engineers know about fatigue wear and cyclical loading and how that can cause
It's the very
problems.
general stuff. Yeah.
And I think even a lot of engineers know about something called galvanic corrosion, where if you have two dissimilar materials pushed together, because of the way they fight for electrons, it can cause corrosion between them. But not everyone thinks about like fretting corrosion.
Yeah.
And it's also one of those things where when you talk about it and you mention it, the more you like this, actually it makes sense.
Yeah. 100%.
So just to kind of put in how severe like a failure from fretting corrosion can be, I have a case study.
Get in, boy. I love that.
We are going to be talking about the Aloha Airline
243.
Flight 243.
Get in.
And it's a flight that's scheduled to fly between Hilo and Honolulu in Hawaii.
Okay.
And this specific accident occurred on April 28th, 1988.
Okay.
So I'm going to paint you a word picture as best I can.
Do it.
So on that morning, Flight 232 at about 25 past 1, I'm going to say it's Central Hawaiian time. I don't know if that's a real thing.
That helps me nothing, but yes.
But at 25 past 1 in the afternoon,
Yeah.
the flight departed from the international airport from Hilo and going towards Honolulu. And it had about 5 crew members and about 90 passengers. So the aircraft that day had already completed 3 round trips. So that's flying there and back. All right. And and earlier that day, they did their pre-flight inspections, and there was nothing. They couldn't see anything wrong. Okay, they even looked at the weather and nothing looked wrong. So
Okay.
this was very unexpected.
Yeah, got you.
Okay. So then at about 1:48 approximately, while cruising at about 24,000 feet in the air, and this was just southeast of Kahulai Moi. I don't know if I said that right. I doubt I said
I'm sure
it.
you offended someone. Yeah, got you.
So what happened, a section of the fuselage roof ruptured
Yes.
with a loud whooshing sound, right? And the cockpit door broke off and insulation was floating around the cockpit. I'm sure at this point everyone's like, what the
I've
is
crapped
going
my
on?
pants now. 100%. Yeah.
There was a report where the captain looked up at the first class ceiling and he just sees the blue sky. Imagine that. Like
That's horrifying, dude.
Yeah. And an 18-foot section of the upper fuselage had ripped off. I've got a photo there.
Yes,
We're going to put that up.
wild, dude. Gee whiz.
So let's talk about the immediate aftermath. So unfortunately, there was one casualty, Clarabelle Lansing, and she was standing near Road 5, and she was ejected when this happened.
Yeah, gee whiz.
I mean, I don't know how you survived that.
No, gone.
Eight passengers suffered serious injuries. I don't know how serious, but I mean,
Clearly,
I'm
it's
assuming
serious.
broken bones serious.
We need to take it serious. Yeah.
Okay, and luckily, all the passengers were seated and belted during the
Decompression.
decompression, which is probably why no passengers died.
Yeah, fair.
So when this happened, the captain, he took control. Honestly, dude, Manierki, in that situation, I think I would have just
I would have melted down, 100%.
melted down.
There's
But
no
this-
way. Yeah.
This dude, so from the moment that the accident happened to when he eventually, like, they did an emergency landing on one of the islands, I think it was something like 13 minutes had passed by.
What a man. Hey?
And,
what a man.
Yeah, so while he was doing this, the left engine was failing during the
Obviously.
approach.
Why not? Why not? Add some difficulty.
And when they were landing, there was some uncertainty about the nose gear because obviously things were damaged.
Shame. Yeah. Got you.
But luckily, they performed a successful emergency landing at Kahulai Airport, and this was 13 minutes after the fuselage rupture. So now, like 13 minutes isn't that long,
No, not at
right?
all.
But I'm
probably
pretty sure
uncomfortable.
it
yeah.
felt like
yeah, no,
hours.
flipping heck.
Yeah. So after the landing, they deployed the emergency slides, and so the passengers could get evacuated. So overall, 65 people were injured, but 8 seriously injured.
Yeah.
And basically, Moai, I don't know if that's the country or the
I'm pretty sure it's like a
section.
town or something, yeah.
They were basically not prepared for such an event to occur.
Yeah, who would be?
The injured were transported by a Kamai tour vans, and there were only 2 ambulances on the island. I'm assuming the vehicles, not like.
Yeah, no, got you.
paramedics.
Shame.
And yeah, so the Akamai staff, they helped establish a triage site on the runway so they could treat the patients while they were trying to transport them.
Flipping heck.
So naturally,
What happened? What's
the
the
National
ish?
Transportation Safety Board conducted an investigation where they looked at what happened. So they found that the fuselage failure originated at a lap joint along stringer S10L. I know that means nothing to you.
It means
It
for
also means nothing to you.
Yeah.
Okay, but I did do a little bit of research about what a lap joint is.
Got
A
you.
lap joint is just where you have 2 things and they lap over each other.
Got you.
So
Makes
normally
sense.
you have like 2 square bars. They take away half of the material of the one so that when you put them over,
They lap.
so now, and then you bolt them together. Do you see where I'm going with this?
I have no idea where you're going. Someone over tightened, didn't they?
Yeah.
Ah,
So then what happened was the disbonding between the skin and the tear straps happened because of the corrosion.
what's a tear strap?
A tear strap is, I'm assuming, I don't actually know, but I'm assuming it's a layer between the joints so that like to give it a bit of extra strength.
Okay, got you. Okay, yeah.
And so what happened was that basically disintegrated, and
Shitty.
and you can't really see that because it's between
Yeah,
the
but
joints.
between the
So
two.
which means all the stresses were transferred through the rivet.
Oh,
Okay,
goodness.
there was a bit of cyclic loading there,
Nice.
caused a knife edge crack on the
Ah,
joint,
Solid.
and you know how those propagate.
Love
and then
it.
when it reaches failure, it's a big shebang.
Yeah,
you know.
got you.
So a little bit more into this lap joint design. It came off of production line 152, okay, where they used an older cold bonded lap joint design which didn't implement some sort of reinforcing doubler sheet. Again, not 100% sure what that means. So essentially,
It was older tech.
yeah, it was older. It was an older design, and this design relief relied on adhesive bonding and rivets with epoxy scrim cloth. So basically, a while ago, what's that company called? Boeing. It is Boeing, right?
Boeing, yeah. Boeing, Airbus, yeah.
Yeah, with they identified that this is a risk, and they
changed.
Then that's when they
method.
redesigned. But this was obviously an old one. So the old joint was prone to desponding and fatigue cracking, and also moisture-induced corrosion. So the newest 737s from line 9292, they implemented this new lap joint design, which eliminated the edge knife fatigue, and it prevented corrosion with a special cloth that would wick away moisture
and stuff like that. Oh, okay, interesting. Okay.
So I mean, I said fatigue cracking now. So where does the fretting corrosion fit in all of this?
Yeah.
So it occurred due to the microscopic movements, which degraded the adhesive bonding, right? And then this leads to increased stress transfer through the rivets, and then leading to fatigue cracking.
Gotcha.
And so the corrosion also compromised the bond durability, which was a key factor in the early Boeing 737 lap joints.
Okay.
All right. So the NTSB, their final conclusions was, they didn't say it's the airline's fault. They didn't say it was Boeing's fault. They said it was everybody's fault.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they said it was a failure on the Aloha Airlines maintenance program to detect the significant desponding and fatigue damage on the thing. There was also very poor inspection conditions. So I mentioned previously that they did the daily inspection of the plane, right? And that was done at night. So it's harder to pick up these kinds of things at night.
But at night, Central Hawaiian time, or at night, South African time?
I'm going to assume Hawaiian. It was dark.
No, fair enough.
When they did the inspection,
not a great time to inspect.
And basically, if you're going to inspect something,
do it when there's light.
Do it in the day.
Go for it.
It's probably a bit better.
No, got you.
There was also a little bit of a lack of regulatory oversight by the FAA, which is the Federal Aviation Administration. They didn't. Basically, they failed to enforce the checklist of, hey guys, this is the things you need to check on your planes before you can consider it safe.
Got you.
Because you know people.
No peeps.
If you don't tell people that they have to look at this thing, they won't. It's just human nature. And they also said that it's a failure on Boeing's side.
Yeah, in terms of design and things.
Because they didn't inform the customers when they changed the design.
This is a possible risk.
This is why we changed the design. So
inspect this
part because it's probably more likely to do. Also, the plane was pretty old.
Yeah, fair.
So basically, the NTSB, they were it's the airline's fault, it's the regulating body's fault, and it's the manufacturer's fault.
Gotcha.
Because on all accounts, you guys didn't.
You could have done more.
You could have, could have identified the problem, but you didn't. So that's basically what it all comes to. So so what are your closing thoughts? What do you think about this whole fretting corrosion and how these invisible things can come and creep in slowly? You know?
I think it's so interesting because it's not something like you said in the beginning, it's not something you think about actively. When you dig that hole on the beach, you don't think about what are the other things that can happen from you doing this thing, right? So did we learn about fretting? I remember fretting from varsity.
To be honest, I remember it being maybe a single lecture.
Yeah, it was very small.
And I remember a lot about fatigue, cracking.
Yeah, all of that,
and all of that stuff. And to this day, it stuck with me.
Yeah, fair.
And I vaguely remember the other types of corrosion, but it's not something you sort of do a deep dive into.
Yeah.
And again, on surface level, or in hindsight, you know that they say hindsight's 20/20.
Yeah.
Knowing about it makes sense.
Yeah,
you know?
no.
But it's one of those 100%. Things where you don't know about. Most people don't think about corrosion and all of that stuff. It's only us engineers that really, really think about it. Or maybe the maintenance
if you're thinking
teams
about it as well, it's just put paint on to protect from corrosion. No one's thinking this level of if I over tighten a bolt, I'm eating away at the surface treatment. There's going to be oscillation. There's going to be fretting and failure.
Exactly.
Right? No one's thinking about that, even us. And so this is why I think the podcast is important, right? I think a lot of the times, even us, we're not at an engineering firm, right? We design things as best we can with the info we have, But I've never, ever gone to my Shigley's, looked at how to do a bolt torque calculation and thought, if I over torque this thing, I'm going to get fretting or corrosion or something. You always think, if I put a bit more torque, the better, You know?
Yeah, and worry about vibrations, put nylocks on there.
Yeah, just put it on, you know, it won't be a problem. So yeah, it was very interesting actually, just like my closing thought, because obviously you've been prepping for this episode the whole week, and we have a service truck here that we're busy doing, and we were busy taking bolts off. I still remember you come to me and go, you know what that is? I don't know, dude, a bolt. It's a bit of fretting corrosion there. I mean, a bit of fretting.
Yeah.
So very impressive. Overall, I think good topic, Mr. Insula. I really liked it. Your thoughts?
I think that there's a broader lesson to be learned.
Yeah.
You know, like it's not just in engineering. It's also like you can even think about like in like your relationships. You know, there sometimes there's an underlying problem that maybe you don't even notice. Maybe it's something you don't think you're doing, but like 20 years down the line, your wife leaves you. You know?
Yes.
Because you did it because you put too much pressure trying to hide the problem. You didn't just think, you know what, let me open it and see what the real problem is.
There we go.
And then address it right then and there.
Didn't do your inspections during the day, you know?
Didn't sign your risk assessment, and now you're in the hospital for observation.
That's all.
Just one of those things.
It's just one of those things, man. Are we moving on to recommendations?
Yeah, I think, let's move on to the heart and bones.
You go first.
Alright, so, yeah, I enjoy anime. I do.
Okay, got you.
Okay, and there's an anime called Solo Leveling.
I've heard about this.
Alright,
I've heard it's very good.
It is pretty good. So, basically, what it's about. Okay, it's anime. It's going to be a bit of a weird topic.
Okay.
Like a weird thing.
No, go.
So, basically, it follows this guy. I'm just going to call him main character because I can't pronounce his name.
Okay, got you.
All right, so main character. It's a world where certain people get awakenings and they get like powers and abilities, but it's very akin to like RPG games. You know, like you're a sorcerer, you're a knight,
And then
or
you
you're
level
a
up type of thing.
mage, and you level up. But the catch in this world is you awaken with a certain power level.
Okay.
And doesn't matter how much you train or anything, you can't get stronger. Your powers won't get stronger. Okay. And then certain people awake with more powerful. So you get E, D, C, B, A, and then the most powerful people are S ranks.
Got you.
And now portals are opening up and monsters are coming through. And the main character, he's an E rank, so the weakest you can be.
Obviously, yes.
But something happens in the like first couple of episodes where he earns the ability somehow to level up, and he's the only person in the world that has this ability.
Okay.
And so it shows not pretty slowly, like actually quite quickly, how he goes from like literally being the weakest person to being the strongest person, and how he's like levels up. And there's a bit of a storyline because like no one really explains why these dungeons show up, and no one like he's the only person that has this ability, and he's kind of keeping it to himself because. Again,
he doesn't want to publicize it.
Yeah, he doesn't want to make it public because he doesn't want to rock the boat. So it's kind of like it follows how you get stronger, but then there's an underlying story of like, okay, but why is all of this happening? Like,
Got you.
Like he asks the question, like, why am I the only one that can do this?
Yeah. And why are all these portals opening now? Type of thing.
Yeah.
Got
Like,
you.
why is all of this happening? So,
Okay.
It's pretty
Solid.
decent, pretty
How
decent.
many seasons?
It's got 2 seasons, and they've announced the 3rd one.
How far are you?
I've watched the first 2 seasons. It's quick watching because each episode's 20 minutes.
And how many
13
episodes?
a season.
Okay, that's not too bad, eh? Gee whiz. Okay, so would recommend.
I would recommend. If you're into anime, give it a try. If you're into
I've
anime,
heard
you
good
probably
things.
already watched it.
Yeah, no, 100%. I've heard good things about it.
Yeah.
I've just never gotten around to it. Okay, interesting. So for me, started watching Pokemon again, man. It's just so good. It's just so good. Our childhoods were so good, but also really messed up.
Because new is better.
Don't pull that on me, man. There's one episode where this chick comes to Ash and them and is like, hey, my dad is so obsessed with training his Hitmonlee that he's basically left the family to train this Pokemon because he wants to become a champion. And she's like, please, will you beat him so that our father will pay attention to us again? And it's like so casual. They just do it like, oh, sorry, your dad's like that. We will beat him.
Yeah. That's also the thing about like Pokemon. It's like he's a 10-year-old kid.
Literally.
And he's leaving the nest.
Right? He's
to
just
go
leaving
and-
his mom at
to
home.
go and make animals fight each other so you can earn badges.
Yeah, dude.
And like,
And they got up no money, no nothing.
and you just like if this had to be in the real world, that kid's dead.
Dead, gone, dude, dead. So yeah, no, very much enjoying it, I must say. That's that, Mr. Unsula. Any parting words for our audience?
I've got a story, kind of like a life hack. I would say.
Okay, got you. Yeah.
So Let and I will say, Let's a very good cook.
Okay, got you.
It's like probably top 5 reasons why I'm with it.
Okay, got you.
Okay.
I'd really love to hear the other reasons, but yes, go for it.
So, when we went on our holiday in Belito, we had coconut rice at Mozambique in Belito,
As you do.
and it was delicious.
Got you.
And like we also had it again when we
Like
came
around, yeah.
So we asked the question like, okay, how hard is it to make? Like, how do you actually make a coconut rice? It's not that hard. It's just rice, and then you kind of soak it in coconut milk. I think you heat it up. I let her do it, and like she got it the first time. And you know what? It's really nice. It's like one of those dishes where it's a silent.
It's the silent star of the dish.
Yeah. Like you'll make the rice, and you'll make the other part. You got your proteins and your veggies and everything, and maybe a lacquer sauce.
Yeah.
I would suggest like make it, and then don't put anything on the rice, and don't let people put anything on the rice. And then when they eat the rice, they're gonna be like, "This rice is delicious." Recommend 10 out of 10.
Coconut rice would recommend 10 out of 10.
Unless you're allergic to coconut, maybe it's not for you.
Maybe not for you. You might have to send it back, but
yeah.
for now, will work. Okay, that sounds good. I tasted it the other day. Really banging, I must say. So yeah, we're going to have to try it. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for joining us again. If you guys want to reach out to us, it's highlevelpodcast@gmail.com. Please follow, subscribe, like this video. It really helps us out a lot. And we hope to see you guys in next week's episode.
Ciao for now.
Ciao for now.